Evolve your body. Evolutionary.org.
Hey everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. And today I want to get into a topic for you all to help with your cycles of D-ball, aka Dianabol. So basically what I want to do today is explain to you the different types of cycles where you're most commonly going to see D-ball used. I have a separate video set up to explain the dosing protocols. So I just kind of want to explain to you where D-ball sort of fits in more. It can be ran in a variety of ways, but effectively and efficiently there are certain methods of using it that are far more better than others, just as with anything else we do in life. So I think the most common, I know that the most commonly used way D-ball is ran is as a kickstart to a cycle. So let's say, for instance, you decide that you want to run a 12-week cycle of testosterone, and you're looking to put on, a fairly large amount of size, or really kickstart your cycle to the highest extent. Because when you're running a longer estered form of testosterone, it takes a while for you to start really feeling it. So the first few weeks of that cycle, people tend to wonder what's going on because they're not feeling too much because the ester's still building in your system. It's working. It's not to say that it's not working, but you're really not feeling it unless you're using a shorter estered version. So hence you bring in an oral steroid to kickstart your cycle. Well, D-ball is probably the most popular form of a kickstart, and it's probably, traditionally, if you go back into time, it's going to date back. That's going to be the furthest back that you see that was used. That was always the most popular used steroid, back in 70s, 60s, even 80s. There wasn't nearly as many options, but that was the one that was kind of the go-to. And a lot of that, stems from the fact that you can add that great deal amount of size in such a short time frame. But a lot of it is that euphoric feeling that D-ball provides. Let's face it, that a lot of methylated steroids, oral steroids, although, very, very highly effective, they come with a lot of side effects, and they can make you feel terrible. That toxicity that comes from an oral, it has such a hard time being broken down by the liver that even when you're running the proper protection, and you are definitely, pushing away a lot of the side effects, eventually it's going to put strain on your liver. It just is. It's inevitable. Now, can you mitigate that? Absolutely. That's why we have products like Entugard that fully protect you throughout, that cycle. However, it's just a matter of time before it really does get to your liver. Some people, experience it far worse than others. But that's going to cause you to feel bad. It's going to bring on that lethargy, and, it's going to methylate your internals. It could increase your blood pressure. You have kidney problems, cholesterol increases, etc. So, D-ball makes you feel different. It makes you feel like you're on top of the world throughout the cycle. Yes, it has a lot of side effects, okay, which I will cover in a later video. But it makes you just feel completely different. The strength increases, the feelings of euphoria, they're untouchable by other steroids. And this is one of the main reasons I feel it's more desirable. Yes, people are after the size, but let's face it, the size isn't the cleanest. It's not the best, and it's very hard to maintain due to all the water retention from the high rate of estrogen conversion. But that feeling it provides, and what it can do to really get you going. Because then once you complete that initial kickstart, your testosterone is finally, you're starting to feel it now. And by then, it all coincides, you see. So that makes it very desirable as a kickstart. Now, it's not smart to finish a cycle off with D-ball as you would with like a DHT derivative, such as like a Winstrol and Anavar. You don't want to be running things that convert to estrogen, especially at that higher rate towards the end of a cycle. That's why you want to keep it at the front end. You're already getting a rate of estrogen conversion with test use alone. Okay? Now, another way that D-bol is often cycled is just as a mere standalone on a quick 4 to 6 week cycle. That's another way that it's commonly used. It's not as desirable as most people are going to tell you that it's far more effective to run it with test, and I agree. Can you run it solo? Yes, you can. You need to make sure that you are protecting yourself. Anti-estrogen is extremely important. I would highly recommend aromasin use. Full PCT is required regardless. This is a methylated oral steroid. Now, a more commonly way used now that I'm seeing is a SARM stack. So people that aren't wanting to use test, or even if they are using test, they're stacking SARMs along with the D-bol, and that's ensuring that the gains are kept cleaner, they're more sustainable, and it also helps mitigate some side effects, and it just enhances the cycle to a higher extent. You can run the SARMs longer, so inevitably you kickstart D-bol for the first 4 weeks of a 12-week SARMs run, and then you would either just continue the SARMs throughout, or you would add in another oral at the end, such as like a Winstrol, to really cut up those gains and clean them up. These are the most commonly 3 forms of cycles that you're going to find with D-bol use. I'm going to touch on the dosing in a different video. Just quickly, I would tend to recommend keeping it at the 30 milligram per day, range. Some people will go a little higher. I feel that's overdoing it, and it's just leading to more, probability of side effects occurring. But that being said, those are the ways to really effectively and commonly use D-bol. But you're going to find that as a kickstart to a cycle is the most effective and commonly used method for D-bol use. So that being said, those are just some quick rundowns of how to cycle D-bol. Like I said, there's always an abundance of ways to do things, but those are the best and most recommended methods. So that being said, Gemelli at needtobuildmuscle.com. Send me all questions and comments. Stick to that email, please, guys. Just that email is set up specifically for each and every one of you, and please stick to that only. I get back to each and every one of you as quickly as I possibly can. So stay tuned for more videos to come. That being said, Dylan Gemelli signing off.
Evolve your body. Evolutionary.org